You cannot improve what you do not measure. This applies to everything in life, from your time to your money to your bank account to your weight, and especially to your business. And if you're a founder or CEO of a 7 or 8 figure company, you know very well that marketing is one of those few levers that always need constant improvements. In a way that you're always trying to squeeze more out of every dollar you put in. You always want more qualified leads, more booked calls, more show-ups, more acquired clients, or whatever the events that you are aiming for at the lowest possible cost. The problem here is most entrepreneurs, when they want to start measuring so that they can have a feedback loop of their actions, they either end up under measuring, so they are constantly flying blind, constantly guessing values about their different metrics like cost per lead, cost per acquisition, LTV, etc., that they know deep down that they are wrong about, or they end up measuring a ton of stuff and still cannot seem to have the clarity they need to improve what they need to improve. So in this video, I will try to explain and show you that sweet spot of measuring only the things that matter, and that will give you enough clarity on what actions that needs to be taken. Because one thing that you need to understand is that more numbers, more metrics, more charts do not always mean more control. What you need instead is a small set of metrics that will tell you what's working, what's broken, and what to do next. So you need to strip everything down to pure signals instead of having a lot of noise. And the way we do that is by letting every metric we decide to track to first pass one filtering question, which is, if this number or metric either moves up or down, will that trigger an action or a decision from my end? If the answer is no, then that metric is just a noise and it needs to be removed. If the answer is yes, on the other hand, then that number is worth tracking and should be considered as a signal and should be monitored constantly. So in this video, I will walk you through the framework we use to actually measure all the marketing activities for the companies that we work with, so you can apply it to your business as well. And at the end of the video, I will show you how easy and simple it is to actually plug your business data to this dashboard so that you can have everything clear, neat, and ready for interpretation. So what you are seeing here is a marketing dashboard that contains a lot of numbers, scorecards, charts, filters, dimensions, etc. And all of this is going to make sense to you in a couple of minutes after I explain and unpack what everything is about. So for me to explain this dashboard, I will need to first go to the wireframe in this tab, which is the wireframe that we use to actually design that dashboard. This wireframe gives me kind of the skeleton and the logic behind which that dashboard was designed. The dashboard has two main sections, and each section has its own goal. We have the first section, which is the scorecards, and we have the second section, which is the time series. The scorecards basically gives me a snapshot of my performance in a custom time range. So basically here we have all the metrics that we are interested to track, that I will explain the logic how we have picked all those metrics. And the time series allow me to analyze the same metrics, but over time, either on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, or maybe on a daily basis if you want to go very more granular. I will first unpack the first section, which is the scorecard sections that you are seeing here, that is located in the top of the funnel. And the logic that I always recommend is to focus on 3 types of metrics when it comes to marketing all over the life cycle of the funnel. And the way we project these is over a horizontal dimension and a vertical dimension. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, we have 3 levels for our funnels. We have the top of funnel, we have the mid funnel, and we have bottom of funnel. Top of funnel, I think it's self-explanatory. It's basically where we are trying to obtain as many eyeballs as possible. We have the mid funnel where we are trying to warm up those eyeballs to actually close. And we have the bottom of funnel where we are trying basically to convert all the leads to paying clients. This is what constitutes the horizontal dimension. And as you can see, the more you move from the left side to the right side, the more you progress on the funnel from the top to the bottom. In the vertical dimension, instead, we tend to focus more on 3 types of metrics that we consider as signals. We have volume metrics, we have conversion metrics, and we have cost metrics. The volume metrics is basically all the numbers that you are seeing here in the first row. So whenever you find yourself asking or starting your question by how many or how much, you need to resort to the first row to actually get your answer. The second type is the conversion metrics, which basically allow us to calculate out of all the leads that have landed in a specific stage of the funnel, how many have moved or converted to the next stage. So when I say, for example, lead to booking, that means that out of all the leads that I've got, how many have actually booked the call? And ideally, you should have all those metrics actually defined in a business glossary. That I will put you a template in the description that I have actually shared before in a video a while ago. This will allow you to have inside your company one single language that you guys actually use in your meetings and your communication in general, so that you can be all in the same page. Otherwise, you will just, for example, if you say lead to booking or show up rate, the person that you are talking to might not have the exact same definition, or the formula might be different, etc., etc. And finally, we have the final type of metrics, which are the cost metrics. And we calculate this basically by dividing whatever we have in the spend by whatever volume amount we have in whatever stage we pick. So for example, if we want to calculate the cost per show up, we take whatever spend we have had in the period divided by the number of show-ups we had in the same period. So again, as I said, the horizontal dimension, we have the funnel life cycle from the top of funnel to the bottom of funnel. And then the vertical dimension, so we have the type of metrics that we want to monitor. And just as a side note, because I might sound and look that I'm giving too much attention to the layout, but trust me, as a CEO, you have multiple things that are competing for your attention. So the last thing you want to do is to land on a dashboard and start hunting for numbers and feeling overwhelmed by the number of metrics that you have. If we get to intentionally design the layout and intentionally optimize it for good storytelling for our funnel and the metrics that we are interested in, then on the fly and on a first glance, you know where your eyes need to go to in order to fulfill whatever curiosity you have or whatever question that you need to answer. So you instantly understand what you are looking at without actually feeling lost or overwhelmed by multiple metrics. And for the sake to just illustrate how simple this logic is, let me quickly hide all those scorecards here and let's run a test together. So as you can see here, we have all our scorecards hidden, and each number that you are seeing in the screen represents one scorecard. Let's say, for example, that as a CEO, you want to know what is your close rate. So once you hear the word rate, you automatically need to understand that we are talking about conversions. So our metric will be in the second row. And when you hear also the close rate, that means that out of all the clients that have booked a call and have shown up, how many have closed? So we are talking about the bottom of funnel. So our metric or our scorecard would be number 10, which is the close rate. Let's pick another number, for example. Let's say click-through rate. Again, the same row because we are talking about conversion. So it would be in the second row, and click-through rate means out of all the impressions that we've got, how many clicks or how many landing page visits that we've got at the end of the day. So that's top of funnel. That would be in the second row. So our scorecards would be number 6, which is the scorecard that we want to look at to know what is our click-through rate is. Let's say that we want to know the number of booked calls that we have in the period. Well, booked calls is a stage in the mid-funnel, so somewhere here. And as long as I have asked how many, then it's a volume metric. So most likely my scorecard would be here, which is number 3, which is number of booking. I'm just like trying to explain this so that you can have this visual map, and on the fly, once you open the dashboard, your eyes will go directly to what you are looking for so that you stop being overwhelmed by the different numbers and all the noise that we've been talking about in the beginning. So now, as I explained the scorecards, I think all of the numbers right here will now make sense. Ideally, you want to add some couple of filters, like for example, state range, so that you can pick whatever time period that you want to analyze, and also an acquisition channel like Google Ads, Meta, organic, referrals, etc., etc., you name it. Every business has a different acquisition channels, and also every business has different life cycle of their funnels. So if you are, for example, a fintech company, you might have DOAs and DOICs, etc., etc. So you just like take that example and extrapolate it to your case. Now we have closed explaining the scorecard section, so now we will move to the time series section. For the time series, as simple as this might look, all the scorecards and the metrics that you are seeing here are the same ones that you are seeing here, but over time. So here are volume metrics, which are basically the ones in black. The cost ones are here in the middle, or I forgot to rename these to conversions. So we have volume, we have conversions, and we have cost. The utility of this now is that you can pick the same metrics and measure them over time so that you can understand whether you are growing or shrinking. That luxury you will not have it in scorecards since it's kind of not UX friendly, which is not like basically the best use of time. But here you have the clarity. You can compare all the metrics that you see on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, and whatever, how granular you want to look at the data. Another utility for the time series is that if there is any A/B test that you have done, any new initiatives that you want to understand the impact, you have the exact same metric and you can basically monitor how it's behaving over time. You can assess whether your initiatives are worth keeping or not. And that wireframe right here is the logic behind the time series here, which is basically we are taking the exact same thing that we have in the scorecards and we are projecting it over time. And the only difference between the scorecards and the time series, regardless of the luxury of comparing period over period, is we have flipped the horizontal and the vertical dimensions. So we used to have in the first row the volume numbers. Now we have it in the first column. So if you want to know the number of leads, you will have here, a number of bookings, you will have it here, number of show-ups, you will have it here, total clients closed, you will have it here. So the lower you move, or from the top to the bottom, the more you progress in the funnel. Also, we used to have the conversion metrics here in the second row and the cost metrics in the third row. Now we have it in the second column and the third column. And I think by looking at the dashboard right here, you cannot spot one one number that's could be considered as a noise. Because all the numbers actually, if we ask ourselves that filtering question that I mentioned in the beginning, if a number moves up or down, will that trigger a decision or an action from my side as a CEO? The answer is yes for all those metrics. And I think that's the frame or the logic that you need to keep when it comes to your marketing measurement. I think that's it regarding the dashboard. Now let me show you the step-by-step how you can actually plug this into your business and have your data visualized here instead of ours. So if you go to the description, you will be able to have those two links, right? There is the Looker link and the Google Sheet link. The Looker is basically the tool that we are using here to visualize all the data, right? And Google Sheet is basically where all data lives, the backend of where all the numbers actually are. So the first thing that you need to click on is the Google Sheet. Once you click, you will find this page. You click Make a Copy, and you will be redirected to a new copy of the marketing dashboard build template, right? You have here 8 columns: date, spend, impressions, clicks, leads, bookings, show ups, and closed clients. There are 2 conditions for this to work. The first one is that you do not, you should not change any titles here. So you need to keep the titles the way they are. And second thing is that every row needs to represent one single unique day. So you cannot, for example, in my table, find the 1st of Jan multiple times, right? So those are the 2 main conditions. And once you do this, just like come here and rename your, by whatever title you find, just my marketing, for example, backend. And then once you do that, you go to the Looker link, you click, and you will be redirected to this page where you will find the same dashboard, but with a new button called Use My Own Data. So you click here, and you go Owned by Me, and you will find that sheet that we have renamed My Marketing Backend popping up as the first one. You select the sheet inside and you click Add, and you will have all your data visualized. In a perfect case scenario, you should have all your data prepared somewhere else. So you just like come here and copy paste everything just so that you don't break anything. And you will have the dashboard visualizing your data that you can actually interpret, and you can like keep updating day after day, or depending on the frequency that you're comfortable with. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you like this content, please do not forget to press the like button and subscribe. And if you are a founder or CEO of a 7 or 8 figure company and you feel that your systems are holding you back, you feel that you're constantly flying blind and you're not digging deeper into your data, you have a spreadsheet empire, a messy CRM, and a chaotic backend, and you have many systems that communicate multiple numbers, so you do not get to actually have one single source of truth, we would love to actually help you out and work together. You can go down below and book a call with either me or with one of my team members. And if you want an end-to-end roadmap on how to fix your data mess and your backend in general, you can watch this video right here where I explain step by step how you can unlock crystal clarity of your business as a CEO. Thank you.